Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, though they're close. I mean, 60% highly enriched uranium is 97% of what they need to get to 90% enriched uranium. So they're very close, and one must take note of that. They are a stone's throw from having nuclear weapons. But I think the Israelis are now demonstrating that they are willing to go after Iran's nuclear weapons program. And they have capabilities that may surprise the Iranians and surprise all of us. They've certainly been working on this for many, many years. And I think it's always been said to me by senior Israeli officials, if we don't surprise you when we go after those nuclear facilities, then we will fail. And so this may be an early demonstration of some new capabilities that Israel has and that the Iranians were not aware of.
Thank you so much for your insight. I want to bring back CNN political and national security analyst David Sanger. David, President Biden had told Israel not to strike Iran, yet here we are. So what position is President Biden in now?
Well, essentially, Laura, he's in the position he's been in Gaza, which is repeatedly telling Bibi Netanyahu that it would be his best advice for the Israelis to not strike back or not strike in a certain way. In the Gaza, the issue and the concern has been all about humanitarian losses by dropping 1,000 and 2,000-pound bombs and other strikes in populated areas. Here, he was basically saying to the prime minister, hey, don't let your ego get in the way here. Take the win that came from the fact that none of the Iranian missiles actually hit any significant targets. There was one tragic casualty of a young girl. But by and large, it was a failed effort by the Iranians. So sort of just take that as the win. Clearly, the prime minister felt that he could not do that.
Why was that? Why is that, David? Do you think that was the issue and the reason? Is it something responsive to the people of Israel who would want a different response? Is it setting the stage for something later?
I suspect, Laura, I can't crawl into his mind. I suspect that it comes out of the Israeli view that you never can strike Israel and not suffer something back, right? And that has been their retaliatory doctrine for some time. And that they felt that even doing something of a cyber nature alone or something you wouldn't see wouldn't send the message sufficiently to the leadership. Now, maybe as you just heard before from Mark Dubovitz, that it's entirely possible that they were demonstrating some new capabilities. But if they were going to go after the nuclear program, believe me, I think we would have known it tonight because we would have seen it in multiple different sites. And while we don't know yet the extent of what happened, that the early reports suggest that wasn't it. But here's my longer term concern. The Iranians have, as you reported earlier, been enriching at 60%, which is just below bomb grade uranium. And for reasons that have to do with physics, not politics, that puts them only days or a week or so away from being able to produce at 90%, which would be bomb grade. They have been backing off on the 60% production, or so I'm told by the UN inspectors who still get in there on occasion. And now they could well reverse that in a way to sort of threaten that they're going to go all the way to 90%. And I think that could be the escalatory move, because I think the Israelis and perhaps the United States would feel if they're producing bomb-grade uranium, they would have to go after this. We don't know that they're going to take that step. They've always come short of it. The amazing thing about the Iranian program is it's taken them longer to get to a bomb than any nation on Earth, and that's been deliberate. They have been using this as a political measure on the lever here, as well as one of physics. They are not racing for the bomb. This could change that view.
Thank you. I want to go back quick to my panel for a second, because I know you're champing at the bit to react to what he's just said. What is your reaction to that?
So, Laura, first of all, the reason why Israel responded is because deterrence is based on offensive capability, not defensive capability. What Israel did defensively was tremendous, but from their mind and their mindset, it didn't restore deterrence. All it did is show Iran that it could protect itself if that could happen. Deterrence is based on your capability to respond, and in such a manner that would, wipe out or create such a hardship for the other person. So that's why, in their minds, they didn't feel deterrence was done just because of they taken the win. They had to show offensive capability like they did tonight.
What's the risk of that, Max, if any?
Well, it's a huge risk, Laura, because we are rewriting the rules of the road in the Middle East in real time. We're seeing red lines erased. Up until last Saturday, Iran had never attacked Israel directly, even though those two countries had been locked in the shadow war since 1979. And now, within a few days of Iran attacking Israel directly, the reports are that Israel has attacked Iran directly. Again, we don't know what's going to happen now, but this is a completely different strategic landscape from the one that we were familiar with just a few weeks ago. The one that the Israelis thought, when they attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus and killed these Iranian generals, they didn't think that Iran was going to go and attack Israel. Now, the Israelis are hoping that the Iranians don't counterattack, but they very well might. So we don't know where this is going to go, because this is a new Middle East that we're seeing, and it's a more dangerous place.
I want to go back to CNN Global Affairs analyst Kim Dozier. I mean, to Max's point, this is right out in the open, which is highly unusual for a conflict between Israel and Iran, right?
Out in the open, and yet we're having this confirmed to us by anonymous officials. I don't know that we're going to have the Israeli military give us a Pentagon-style briefing and tell us what they fired and where and what the point was. So unless the Iranian state media chooses to show us the leftovers of missiles or drones, we may not know what was fired, specifically what was hit. A lot of the Iranian attack apparently hit an Israeli airbase. So it looks like what the Israelis may have done is hit an Iranian army and airbase, and that's it. We're not hearing reports of any explosions in the rest of the country. So this might actually be a return to the covert war that Israel has waged against Iran since about 2010, with assassinations, suicide quadcopters, taking out different parts of the nuclear program. So let's see if Israel decides to fess up in the next 24 hours, because, when it comes to the Israeli public, they don't need a public declaration. They're sure it was their team striking back. Let's see what Iran feels the need to do.
I want to bring back CNN Chief National Security Correspondent Alex Marquardt. Alex, this is not something the U.S. wanted to happen because, of course, all the uncertainty of what happens next, right?
That's absolutely right, Laura. I think to some extent they knew it was an inevitability. And in speaking with top U.S. officials throughout the course of the week, they did speak about it as a question of when, how, and what this would look like, not a question of if. Of course, they were holding out hope that it would not come to this, and that, in the words of the administration and numerous administration officials, that they would take the win. What we saw earlier today, was a meeting of the G7 leaders in Capri in Italy. And we've started seeing the US, UK, the European Union imposing a vast array of sanctions against Iran as a response to their attack last weekend. And so that was essentially a communication by those Western countries, by some of Israel's closest friends, who came to their defense on Saturday night to say, listen, we're with you. We are taking this action against Iran. We are trying to weaken Iran. But at the same time, please don't ratchet